Hi everyone and welcome to this video. My name is Gregory Scott. I'm an astrologer who lives in Glastonbury in England, and in this video I'm going to tell you about the full moon in Virgo that takes place on the 9th of March 2020. It's a supermoon, so it will appear much bigger than a regular full moon. The full moon is something that happens every month. So the sun and the moon are 180 degrees away from one another, and the sun lights up the moon, and the moon has been working its way up to become the full moon. When it is full, it goes and it lets go of its energy and it showers us with its energy. When it's a supermoon, the moon is closer to planet Earth, and that's why we see it as being bigger. It's usually like, I might be incorrect on this, 7 to 15% bigger. I don't quote me on that, but you'll see that it makes a difference. And the moon is really the most sensitive part of who you are. It governs your feelings. So the fact that the moon is much bigger and is going to have a much greater effect on us means that this full moon is more important than other full moons because it is a supermoon. And the closer the moon is, the more it influences us. Now, this full moon happens at 5:47 in the afternoon, and that's based on UK time. So if you're in the States or if you're in Asia or Australia, take the time difference into account. Now, the first thing that happens at 19 degrees, 1 and 9 is 10, and 10 in numerology reduces to the number 1, and 1 is about being a pioneer, taking action, thinking for yourself, and it's being the magician. In the tarot is also the number 1. It's one hand up to the sky listening to what's coming through, and then one hand pointing at planet Earth with all of the elements at your disposal to create what you want to create. So that's the sun in Pisces is lighting up this full moon in Virgo. So a sun at 1 degree in Pisces means that your identity, what you're thinking about very much, is the inner world, the what's going on with me. Do I need healing? Am I spiritually connected? Do I want to connect spiritually? I'm going to go visit Amma because she's in the country and I'm going to go get a hug, that kind of thing. That sun opposes a moon at 19 degrees, again, number 1, in Virgo. Virgo is the sign of the zodiac that's all about taking in lots of information, breaking it down and making sense of it. Think of Virgo as the woman in September who sits there, all the wheat has been harvested and gathered. It's coming through on the production band, and she's having to sort the rotten wheat from the good wheat, so that they can store it and survive the winter. So she is quality control. And she opposes Pisces because Virgo is all about listening to practical information, making sense of things, not getting overwhelmed, and then making meaning from the information you get and taking practical action as a result of the information that you've received. Now, this full moon at 1 degree in Virgo gives you that same sort of pioneering attitude and the idea that I'm going to have to do something independently. This is my life. I'm going to look at how I think, what I feel. I'm very ready to let go of the rules that have been imposed on me. I'm free of other people's perceptions of me and the fear that I'll be shunned or anything like that if I let my true self out. The moon in Virgo allows you to look within yourself, and it shows you where your inner superstar is, the person that is able to be a pioneer, to be an ideas person, and to say, I've got this wonderful idea and project in mind. I'm going to start this, I'm going to put some money into it, I'm going to work on it, and I'm going to create a business of my own. If you see that within yourself today, go for it. It's not a trick. This full moon is a gift. Because if you look at Virgo, it's passive, right? She sits there and she analyzes wheat or info that is coming in. But the number one in numerology is like Aries in astrology. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Number one is the first number, the most important. You know, the emperor is always number one. And that is very active and very masculine and very driven. So the moon gives you the ability to read yourself and to then accept it. Because it's not something negative. You're not looking at yourself and saying, oh, I'm lacking there. Oh, this isn't good enough either. No. The moon in Virgo will allow you to see beyond all the ego negative voices and to kind of scan yourself and to see what it is that you really want to do, regardless of money, regardless of family or other people or consequences. It's what you're passionate about, and that side of yourself that hasn't been able to get out because you've censored it away. The moon, it's lit up by this Pisces sun, and the sun is your identity. The sun is the solar plexus. And when that's in Pisces, you're thinking about spirituality, how to move forward with spirituality. So the sun at 1 degree in Pisces really urges you and compels you to look at your spiritual path and how you're going to proceed. And then the moon, lit up by this and feeling, causing you to feel very, very empowered and able to sift through the information that comes up in your spiritual journey. So this is a wonderful day to stay home and to meditate and to really understand yourself. The reason I'm saying that is because we have Mercury, the communication planet, that goes direct today. But this moon happens at 5:47 in the afternoon, and Mercury is stationed still at that time. It seems to be completely stationary, and it goes forward later on in the day. And during Mercury retrograde, I always recommend that don't let your life be governed by Mercury retrogrades, because they do happen 3 to 4 times a year. It offers you an opportunity to think differently. Now, with this full moon giving you this amazing Virgo ability to analyze and make sense of information that's in your life, to make meaning out of it, and then to take practical action, that combined with a Mercury which is now no longer in retrograde, but it's stationed, so it's still just before it's about to move forward, really mitigates any kind of miscommunication or misunderstanding that could be left. People often talk about the shadow period of Mercury. So before it retrogrades, it slows down, of course, and then when it's going direct, it starts off slow and then gets quicker. But if we look at shadow periods, then Mercury would be pretty much in retrograde most of the year. So it rules Virgo. This is a full moon in Virgo. So with the communication planet, I'm sorry, that's a weird way of saying it, the communication planet Mercury going direct, and you feel very comfortable looking within, you're now able to clearly identify and see what's going on within yourself and what you're missing. So this isn't a very gregarious, public, let's all party kind of full moon. It's a very personal experience, and you are your own life coach, your own guru here. Because if you just take a moment to receive, which is what Virgo is, she's a feminine sign, and she's always about give me more, 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 because I cannot be overwhelmed. If you have a daily spiritual practice in your life, fabulous, because you will get messages. If you've never meditated or prayed or even been bothered with anything spiritual up until today, that's absolutely fine. And if you don't want to have anything to do with spirituality, also fine. Do something though that puts you in that frame of mind where you feel like you're connected to something. So when you would take a walk here up Glastonbury Tor and suddenly you see the landscape and your mind becomes quiet and you make the space for something wonderful to come in. Or you do sports and while you're running, your mind gets to this really clear place and you're like, ooh. And that clear place is what we're trying to get to today, so that the information that's coming in, you can make meaning out of it, and then you can plant it in a space where it can thrive and grow. So this full moon, I'm going to call it the personal transformation full moon here in March, because it's asking, or it's saying, hey, you, whoever watching this, you have a library inside of you and you haven't read it yet. There are lots of brilliant masterpieces in you that you haven't pulled off the shelf and you haven't shown anybody. And that can be a talent, like I said, in being a jockey, owning a casino, singing, having great intuitive gifts. So by looking at yourself today and taking 10, 20, 30 minutes and looking at yourself, it is not self-indulgent. It's what the universe wants you to do, because you have so much more to give and you're not giving it at the moment. Now the moon itself forms certain relationships with other planets in the chart, as you can see. The first one is this blue trine, these several trines at the bottom, you can see. The rising in Virgo and the moon in Virgo connect, they trine Mars in Capricorn, Pallas Athena in Capricorn, Jupiter in Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn. And Mars is drive and ambition. Pallas Athena is the female goddess. She's the warrior princess. So you've got Mars, the soldier, and the warrior goddess sitting next to the lucky planet Jupiter and the planet of transformation and rebirth, Pluto, in Capricorn. The sign of the worker, the sign of getting things done. Virgo analyzes it, makes sense of it, gives it to Capricorn to actually build it. Or Taurus to actually build it. Although Taurus would kind of say, the budget. No, let's cut back on spending. So, this trine is really significant because if you take the initiative, that's really the key. To take the initiative to look within yourself, you will find this amazing hidden treasure and you can do the work with it today. And Mercury is stationed, it will go direct. So now do all of the things that you have put on hold because of the Mercury retrograde. Start new businesses, start new relationships, sign up for the thing that you really want. But do it tomorrow on the 10th, because Mercury is going to be fully direct. And you will have had some time to process all of this, because it's going to give you something completely fresh and new that you have to put into a real physical, practical format, and that takes time. The moon obviously opposes the sun. It also opposes the part of fortune and Neptune in Pisces. So the moon doesn't want anything to do with the dreams and let's just be fantasy land passive. It's saying, yes, there are times to enjoy all of that, but it's not right now. Right now is the time for organization, reason, and seeing yourself objectively. So the moon is very intolerant today of other people putting an influence on you. So if you're someone who's trying to get someone else to do something, today is not the way and not the day to try and convince them. Because today, people are going to be about themselves, and it's a good thing because they're able to find things within that connect them to other people. It's ironic, sometimes you have to isolate yourself to become connected. We have lots of ironies on this planet. It forms a sesqui square with Venus and Uranus, so the planet of love, and the planet of the miraculous and unexpected in Taurus, So physical, practical things again could appear today. I don't think in the sense of romance and relationship. I really think in the sense of, I know what I'm doing. I'm now going to make an investment and build this business, or I'm going to start living my vocational aptitudes. I'm going to start working on what I now know I'm meant to work on. And that applies to you if you're 80 and you're retired. What is it that you're passionate about and that you want to do? If you're 16 and you have no clue, do something, try something and see if you like it or not. Shadow your local barber for a day. Ask him to see if you can watch what happens. And you'll see whether you like the environment and whether you want to become a barber yourself. They do those things at schools, and it's really important because a lot of people are expected to choose something and they haven't even tried all of the other options because everyone's so afraid of money and you've got to have a proper job. My father was born in 1934 and he told me that I need to get a degree. I need to be an academic. Gotta be an academic. And it was so nice of him. When I got my master's, he was like, oh, you're an academic now. But unfortunately, the times have changed. And also, it's an arts degree, not an engineering degree, the way he had. But today, master's degrees and things, I read that a man or a woman in this day and age, if they take an arts degree, they are going to be £100,000 worse off than if they did not do the degree. The only people who benefit from doing degrees these days are people who study law, economics, and medicine. They have debt at the end of the student experience, but then they go into jobs which really help and which are rewarded hugely in terms of finance because you're adding a lot of value. Today, your own inner vocational counselor comes out and it says, you love this, it gives you a sense of freedom, and think outside of the box. You don't have to worry about what other people are going to think. This is you, your life, not anyone else's but yours. If you want to dress up as a drag queen, go and do it. If you want to be outrageous one day and you've put on your list that one day I'm going to go to Harrods. I'm not suggesting you do this, but if you have this thrill, you're super rich, okay, you're like a millionaire, but you decide to do a Winona Ryder and you're like, okay, I've always wanted to steal something from Harrods in London. And that might be on your to-do list and that might give you that thrill. Don't do it, obviously, but you're able to take practical action on something that really makes you feel excited. The best way to use the energy is to really listen and to build a proper career out of it. So all of the people watching this who are kind of iffy about, am I doing the right job? Am I not doing the right job? What should I do in future? Or I've done this job for 20 years. I'm like, I'm bored to tears. Do I need a change? Could I change? Am I too old? Is anyone going to hire me? Should I have my own business? Those are the questions which are really highlighted, and anyone who's unemployed or struggling with what they're supposed to do, this full moon is going to help you. And trust the thoughts that are coming up. As I said, Mercury is going direct on the day, so you can trust your thoughts and feelings. Finally, the moon also forms a square, so it causes friction with Gemini, the midheaven in Gemini at 15 degrees. Now this is a very mercurial chart. We have the rising in Virgo, which means that the entire chart is ruled by Mercury. The midheaven is midday. Look at the wheel next to me for a moment right now. So you see the rising Virgo, that's the ascendant, that's sunrise. The midheaven is noon, the descendant is sunset, and the IC is the middle of the night. It's like a clock. So sunrise is in Virgo, that's why the entire chart is ruled by Mercury. And then the midheaven, what you're doing during this day, which today, being in Gemini at 15 degrees, means you're able to walk through new doorways of opportunity that you have come up with because you've thought about them. And there's a temporary window of opportunity that opens up for you today, work-wise, to take care of yourself by implementing the idea that comes to you via the full moon, and to honor that information by actually doing it. I always heard become an astrologer, do something with your tarot cards. I heard that for years, but I dismissed it. I said, you know, I can't earn a living with that. My dad said, get a proper job. That's what you have to do. So I was in proper jobs which are disgraceful. And these days, sorry to go on about this, but it really bothers me. I saw an ad, and I think I mentioned this already, but it said, educational requirements, master's degree, pay minimum wage. Outrage, I can't. So, you are attending the University of You today, and it's just all laid out before you, your entire self, the talents, the strengths, the weaknesses, all there. You're given an opportunity to move forward if you use one of these things that you see. It's an inward journey, so don't be tempted to go out and find it from someone else or to be told as such. Give yourself, you can have help, of course, and ask your guides and your angels and your ancestors and whoever you work with to help you look within. If you're scared, hold your hand, to go inside and to really analyze yourself and to say, that's my star quality, let's pull that out. I keep getting vertebra. It's like pulling out a piece of vertebra and saying, this is my destiny. And all of the positive relationships with the big boys and the big lady, Pallas Athena, Mars, warrior, let's go. And then the outer planets, good luck, transformation, Jupiter and Pluto, saying, you know, the world is your oyster. You can make it whatever you want to be. It's a really youthful moon, isn't it? This transformational moon. It's being able to just really invent yourself. I grew up very, very privileged in a sense that when I was 16 years old, my dad sent me to France to learn French. They sent me there during the summer holidays. I mean, it doesn't get much more privileged than that. And I went to École Française or something like that. Yes. And I made all these little friends, and I was in a completely different environment for the first time with people who had different opinions, and I was free for the first time to be me and to behave the way I wanted. And I remember this Russian girl, I put my hand down like this, and I had a little boa I was playing around. We were at a party, and she said, oh, doesn't your hand look feminine just laying there like that? And I was still deeply in the closet, so immediately I snatched my hand away and I got butch, as butch as I can. But you see, she immediately shut me down, because then the rules were in effect again. You see society's rules. But today, you have that same sort of reprieve from society's rules, and you can be yourself. And these days, if I was in Nice, the way I was back then, and that girl had said to me, oh, look how feminine, I would have said, yeah, it is feminine. And I love making love with men, and I love looking girly, and I am a queen, and if you don't like it, but we don't have that as children. We blame ourselves. There's something wrong with us, and there isn't. And this is so youthful. You're getting this amazing opportunity to really look at the best of yourself, to forget about the negatives, and regardless of age, to reinvent yourself and to start over in a practical, really practical way. So you can totally transform yourself physically. If you don't want to look the way you want to look anymore, do it. I used to spike up my hair so I was 25 because I didn't realize there was any other option, and now it's just all over the place. It's just crazy. And I let them put a line in there for some reason, you know, like things change and you change, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. other than you get to know yourself better and better and better the more time you spend with yourself. And that's why I'm always saying make friends with yourself, please, and get in touch with your higher self, and don't listen to the ego so much, because you're going to be here with you for the rest of your life. You can rest assured that on your deathbed you will be present. So with all of these big boys now saying you can live the life that you want to lead, you and your friend now, you seeing the best in yourself and saying, there we go, we're going to take that and run with it and see if it works. It's really likely to work, because this day isn't going to offer you up rubbishy information. It's going to be information that really helps you do something you're passionate about, and it transforms you as a person, and it transforms your work and your working life, and as a result of that, maybe your financial status. Because obviously if you change jobs or careers, then you're going to have a different income. So that's what I get for you during this wonderful full moon. I hope you have a lovely time. If you would like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com, and you can order your reading with me there. In my personal readings, I use astrology, I use tarot, numerology, and my intuition. And the way you see this chart next to me now, I draw up your chart by taking your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. And then I get a similar chart, and I can analyze what your life purpose is, what you're good at work-wise, what you should stay away from, what your strengths and weaknesses are, your destiny, where you have free will and you can make changes, what's happening in love and romance and money and coming up in future and health, and anything that you want to ask about, I can answer your questions. Travel, where should I live, any of those questions. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button, share it online, that would be lovely, on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, wherever you're active on social media. That would really help me. So if you like this video and you want to help me out, please share the video. Have a wonderful time, and I'll speak to you soon.